Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of our challah bread series. We're going to do single, double, and triple braiding techniques today. It's going to be fun. It's very versatile, very beautiful. There's all these different things you can do. So without further ado, let's get braiding, y'all. To give yourself time, maybe make 2 batches worth of dough if you plan on doing a lot of different techniques. If this is your first time braiding at all, you can always practice with shoelaces first so you're not having to mess with dough as much. It's a little bit of a different feel, but this way you can get practice of what it's supposed to look like without having to waste any dough. The advantages to braiding is you can do various different styles. You can also have very different patterns. They're all very beautiful. Doesn't necessarily affect flavor right away, but we do eat with our eyes first, as they say. We have a batch of 3 pounds and 7.6 ounces. I'm just gonna double check that. Yeah, 3.3 pounds. And I wanna show you the 1-strand rolls. So I'm going to do 3 strands, 1.1 pounds each. All right, and be sure to weigh this out. Looks can be deceiving. It's different when you're cutting it in half because you're not having to mess with it, but outside of that, it can be a little daunting. Okay, good. So I had those scaled out, and remember we're going to use our technique of push towards the center and then fan out, push towards the center, fan out. And that's about just under 2 feet. Don't know exact measurement, just give yourself some room. And then you leave that one right there and you do the next one. And the advantage of this is you can see if they're all the same length and you can get kind of close towards the end, and that one's good. But as you can see, I keep my distance. I go a little bit further and you can kind of see that the bread's slowly slinking back. And that's perfectly normal. That's why you overshot it a little bit. You can try keep it underneath you and then try to roll on top, but I always run into it, so I don't advise that. But you're welcome to try it. If you get a piece of edge that's just not cooperating, roll that one out. And then, boom. All right, so we have our strands. Okay. So our first is going to be a little bit different. We're going to get set up, kind of get clean. I'm going to get my pan ready, and then we're going to be back. I'm going to show you a few different methods for doing singular rolls for 1 strand. So you take your strand, lap over, okay, tuck underneath and pull through. Pinch together, flip, and you have your 1 strand there. Okay, so it doesn't air out, I'm going to do this and put it on my thing. I'm gonna circulate it a little bit, and that's 1. The second method, let me grab my bench scraper. Again, it's a wonderful tool, have it at the ready. There we go. All right, so for the next one, okay, gonna do a little bit smaller of a circle. Go like that, okay, and then go ahead, wrap around and pull it through, and wrap around and pull it through, and then you take the end and you pump it, shape it out, and you get a multi-grained loaf like that. So that's a second tier method. You can also show it off like that if you want. I like this one. And that's the second one. So now you see the pattern differences. And then I call our figure 8 version. And that's kind of a fun one. So form that shape. Then twist like so. And then you bring this guy through all the way. And then you flip. Then you have the donut style. And that's a more elongated shape. And then we'll put these in the cover. And that's kind of how I'm fitting it in my bin. Being mindful of where the bread is. And I'm covering it so it stays out of harm's way. Alright, so we're going to do the one we did for our first challah bread episode. I'm going to cover it. And then I'm just going to twist it along itself. Like that. Again, I'm going to pull, twist, and then twist again. Alrighty. And then I'm going to do a tight roll up and do a pinch, and that is one. And like before, I'm gonna grab a dough bin, kind of keep it there and at the ready. And then for our next 2 strand, so you have one this way and then the other this way, and then a crossover. Okay, just like that. Then you turn it. Sometimes you gotta check for length. That's perfectly okay. And then bring this guy over. Then bring this guy over. Then this guy over. Then this guy over. Then this guy over. Then pet. Then pet. Then pet. Then pet. Then pet. Then pet. And it's a way to kind of get it on itself. Do a tight pinch, and then you can make it round at the end. And then the roll underneath there. And don't worry if you get a fingerprint at this stage. It's going to rest for another second or two to puff up. So let's go ahead and do our 3 braided loaf. So with this one, it's pretty simple. You take one side, go over, and pinch the centers. Then you take this guy. So now I take this guy and go over, bring it to the center, and take this guy over, then over, then over, then over. There we go. Then over, then over, then over, then over, then over, then over. Tuck that guy in. Tuck this guy in. And there you have your braid. Just pinch that ends really quick. Tip over. And that is our 3-prong braid. And then we'll let it sit for an hour, and we'll continue. Okay, so our challah braids have rested for about an hour now. Let's see what we got. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay, that's one. I'm gonna get this guy onto my baking sheet. Very good. Which one do I have here? the 1 knots. Okay, great. As you can see, they hugged each other a little bit. It's okay, I can kind of tuck that underneath. These are gonna expand, so I'm gonna give them a little bit of room to do so. Then I'm gonna take the egg wash, which again, from the previous episode, is 1/4 cup of water and 1 egg. There are buttermilk egg washes that I've done for biscuits, but in all honesty, that might offer too much of a tang, so I don't recommend it. Making sure I get those sides too. Alrighty, and that's ready. Our oven is set to 380 degrees and our baking stones are in there. I'm just gonna pop those in. And set the timer. Next we have our 2 strand braids. So let's get this in. You don't want to go too heavy on the egg wash because that can make the bread darker before it's fully baked in the center. So you just gotta be aware of that. And if for some reason, if you're out of sheet trays, or if you want to do them singly, you can take a pie plate. Just make sure you get around those edges. And I'm going to use this guy for our single strand. And it should puff up and fit just fine. Never panic when baking. There's always a solution. Gonna tuck him in. Use the egg wash as glue. Again, it's never the end of the world, y'all. You can always figure something out. Now, someone has asked me before, why don't I do the spray like I do with biscuits or pretzels? Some things, like challah bread, really need an egg wash. There's a better coating in general. There's also a different coloration that happens, and then sometimes it's also a flavor component. They make sprays that have a mixture of canola oil and butter. They have olive oil sprays, but something about that egg wash texture, crust formation, and just overall general flavor has a special something to it, which is why I use it for challah bread. Okay, so all of our challah loaves have been baking. I pulled these out first because they're single rolls, then the 2-1. We've been waiting for a few minutes, and I think our large one is ready. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's a big one. Oh, would you look at that. Look at how pretty that is. And I do want to point something out though. So you can tell I went a little tight here when I was braiding because it sunk in. Sometimes you got to give your space, do tight in the beginning and then relax a little bit, and then that doesn't happen. It kind of shrunk in the middle there. But there you go. That is our challah bread braiding episode. So yeah, as you can see, you get all these different designs. The single braids are not always as distinct. The double braids tend to come out pretty well. And the triple braiding comes out just great. So we have a few cracks here, one crack here, maybe one here, but in general, people are gonna love this anyway. And sometimes you get lucky like I did, and those seam bursts match and just make an excellent artistic decoration to your bread. Well, that's all for Bread-a-licious. Tune in next time. Keep baking, y'all.